everyone, I'm Barbara Beck, and you're watching a special edition Welcome Home featuring your favorite and mine, the one and only John Rivers from Four Rivers Smokehouse and the Coop. During the next few minutes, you're going to be seeing some of the best of John Rivers in the kitchen with me. Since we started filming Welcome Home about a year and a half ago, we've enjoyed many great times with John cooking and baking all kinds of delicious dishes. He's inspired us and encouraged us to get our families together and have regular meals around the dining room table. This has always resonated with me as I grew up in a family where we ate together every night. If my dad was late from work, we waited. If my brother had a ball game practice, we either ate before or we waited. Rarely did we eat apart. I mean, truthfully, I didn't know this wasn't the norm until I became an adult. Eating together was popular back in the 50s and 60s, and my heart is to really encourage families to get back into this healthy habit of gathering around the table, sharing our day, and just enjoying each other. So we put together a program of just John Rivers cooking here on Welcome Home. You might have seen some of these segments, but I hope they'll be a great reminder of the importance of cooking and eating together as a way to keep the family together. Enjoy with us. Here's John. Hi everyone, we love What's Cooking in the Kitchen with John Rivers from Four Rivers Smokehouse and the Coop. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely, always a pleasure.
It's always fun to cook with you in the kitchen because I know we're going to get something yummy. What are we cooking today?
We're going to keep to our southern roots today.
Yes,
okay, we're going to go back to South Carolina, where
okay.
my family and your family,
and my family is from. That's right.
Fantastic. One of the most iconic dishes that comes out of the Charleston and South Carolina area is pimento cheese.
Yeah.
And anywhere you go up there, you'll always find it on recipes and on menus, and it's just, you know, you go to 10 different places, you'll taste 10 different pimento cheeses. This is a pimento cheese recipe that I developed for the Coop, and we serve it there, and I've really come to really appreciate it. I use a few different cheeses. I'll use a sharp yellow cheddar, and then a sharp white cheddar. Gives it just a slightly different flavor to it. And it also gives it a little bit different color. So I'm going to put those in. Now, part of me with a pimento cheese is I like everything really mixed very, very well. So I'm going to add the yellow cheese and then the white cheese. And you know what the pimento itself is?
I thought the pimento was a red pepper.
That's right. It is red pepper. It's roasted red pepper.
Okay.
That is then pickled, and that is what they'll put a lot of times inside of an olive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, why do I love a red pepper, but then when it gets all mushy and pimento-y, I don't like it so much?
If it's in the olive itself?
Yeah, I always pull out the olive. I mean the pimento.
It's picking up so many different flavors of the salt and the brine that the actual olive is sitting in. Yeah. So it really changes it. Okay. Okay, you have to have a little bit of mayonnaise in there.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay? That's what gives it its creaminess. And again, I would use to me, the best mayonnaise that you can get.
Yeah.
And if you want to cut back, that is your opportunity to do so. Okay. So we're going to do something here. This is something that I came up with. We're going to go ahead and turn this on and get it mixing. Okay, so it's really blended well. Okay, now instead of using onions, I use scallions.
Yes, just a little milder.
A little milder, a little softer. Go ahead and add those in. Okay. Okay, a little bit of Worcestershire.
Oh.
You know, gives it just a little bit of depth of flavor.
These
so it's
are
not
really
just
secret ingredients.
Yes.
This is not my mama's pimento cheese.
And this is probably the biggest secret right here. I take egg whites and I'll whip them so they get nice and fluffy, and it will make a meringue.
So how many, about 2 or 3 egg whites?
This looks like about 3 of them in here right now. And we'll give you the recipe so you can post it for folks.
Sure.
And I'm going to go ahead and add that in. And what this is going to do is going to give it some life and a little bit of fluff to it, and it'll lift. And any time that you want to, like in pancakes, if you want pancakes to be a little bit springier, you add some egg whites to it.
I did not know that.
Egg whites, they're a wonderful item to bring it up a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my pimentos. And the reason I use this instead of my hand mixing, because I like everything really, really well blended.
Well blended,
And especially those egg whites to get those in there.
Now you can buy pimentos just in a jar?
You can.
Okay.
You can, or you can just get a roasted red peppers that are in a jar, and just take those and chop them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it.
Right.
Once they go into an olive, then they really change.
They do. They do.
So when this comes out, I like to go ahead and put it in the refrigerator so that it gets nice and hard, okay, and sets. And usually overnight, you really allow the flavors to come.
You do that with a lot of things. That's what makes the flavors really...
It really does. It's amazing how much it changes it. Let's get a couple little spoons, and we'll, first of all, let's test this and see how we like it.
Make sure it's okay.
Yes.
Before we give it to any of our viewers. Okay. That's good. You know what? I think it's the, whoa, it's got a little kick.
Little cayenne.
Little cayenne. We didn't mention that little cayenne.
We didn't mention the cayenne. That's a secret ingredient.
Another secret ingredient.
Heaven forbid we would want to put it on the recipe list.
Oh, I love that. That is good.
Just a little. And can you taste the Worcestershire?
I thought at first that's what I was tasting, and then it started kicking in, and I said, that's cayenne.
Well, cayenne hits the back of your palate, and it comes in after you swallow, and you taste a little bit later.
That's good stuff.
So a couple different ways to serve this. A lot of times I'll take a French baguette, and we'll cut them into little rinds like this, and we'll go ahead and oil it and just toast it in the oven.
When you say oil it, are we talking butter? Are we talking Pam? Or what are we talking?
A little bit of, you can use butter, but I probably would use an olive oil on something like that.
Okay.
And
because I have to admit, I tasted one of those. I thought it was butter. It's not butter.
You can put butter just as,
whatever it was good. Oh, and a little bit of bacon on top.
A little bacon on top.
Why does bacon make everything better?
What it's really doing? It's adding smoky flavor and salty flavor to it.
Okay.
So it's giving you a nice counter to the two.
Now you probably have not done this yet at the Coop or the Smokehouse, but we had one of our precious little employees the other day. We had a covered dish luncheon, and he brought in. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Bacon cupcakes.
Oh my.
Yes. Everything is bacon. If he comes, he's going to bring bacon. And everybody raved about them, thought they were really good. But yeah, bacon adds a lot.
Now, this is one of my absolute favorite things to do.
I don't know what you're doing here.
This is just a maple ham.
Okay,
this is a boar's head at the deli,
Mm-hmm.
right? I actually probably put too much in here. I'm a terrible burrito maker, too. I can never make those. I make them and stuff just goes everywhere on me.
That's all right.
I think I get overexcited.
So this is a ham roll.
This is, we call these pigtails.
Oh, that's so cute. I love it.
I thought it'd be kind of fun. And see if we...
That would be good to go in somebody's lunchbox one day, right?
It really, and it's neat for parties. You make them much smaller than this, and you take a little toothpick, and you put it in there. And
you can just slice them.
Yeah, so it'll stay together. And it's probably easier with a knife, but we're going to use a spoon today.
Okay.
And give that a taste. Those flavors come together. Now watch out the back end here, because I made it and it's got far too much. And I will share a bite with you.
It's messy. Very messy. There you go.
Isn't that a wonderful flavor, though? With the ham. And
John, that's good.
There's something about that sweet maple ham in particular that really brings out a lot of flavor. So really a nice presentation. And you can put a little bacon in there if you wish to. Or roll them up, and it's a great way to send pimento cheese to school. Yeah. Kids, or have them at a little party.
I love it. It's a great recipe to have. We'll have that up on our Facebook or on our website, and you can get John Rivers' very famous pimento cheese. Thanks so much. We're going to have a feast here today.
You're welcome.
Thank you, John. Delicious.
My pleasure. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm in the kitchen with John Rivers from Four Rivers Smokehouse and the Coop, and we are so excited about what kind of recipe we have with you here today. John, what's cooking?
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. We love having you.
I'm going to share today one of my favorite recipes, and this is one of the few recipes that's used both in the smokehouse and at the Coop.
Okay.
And I call it our hidden gem. It's in the smokehouse we use smoked chicken, and in the Coop we just use roasted chicken. But it is a chicken salad, which is one of my favorites.
Mine too.
We're going to start, and we're going to build this, and we're going to show some different ways that you can actually serve it.
I love that, building our chicken salad.
Well, I cut and add. If you would do the honor of mixing it as we go.
Love it.
Now, there's a little story to this recipe. Because when I was developing the recipes for the smokehouse, I started by just going through normal cookbooks and magazines and looking for a chicken salad that was really unique and different. And I couldn't find anything that really stood out. Well, one of my friends who was helping us back in the garage in those days, his name is Russell. And Russell used to work at Gooding's, which is the old grocery store that used to be here.
Love it.
And one of the most famous things that they had, or well-known things that they had, was their chicken salad.
Okay.
Well, he made a phone call to, I think his name is John Gooding, who was kind enough to share the recipe with us.
Aww.
I took it, made some very small, minor changes to it, and that's what constituted our chicken salad. And I have used it from the very beginning, so almost 6 years ago, and it's just so delicious.
Well, you know, they were a Christian grocery store. I remember them from back in the, what, 80s, 70s, something like that, and they were such a upstanding, wonderful, wonderful grocery store.
They really are. Good family.
Good family.
Okay, so we're going to start with a little bit of chicken, okay? You can use white, you can use dark, whatever your preference is.
What'd you use, both?
I use a mix because the dark adds a little bit more, a little bit more moisture to it. So if we were to follow the recipe, we're going to use about 1.5 pounds of smoked chicken.
Okay.
Okay, now something that's really unique to put in there are just some nice sweet grapes.
Love that, yes.
I do too. It gives it a little bit of juiciness to it, but it's not overly sweet.
And it's super healthy.
Yes.
Grapes in our chicken salad. Now, what did you say if we don't have smoked chicken to have at home? We just do normal chicken.
Just normal. I would go to like a Publix, get a roasted chicken, and just use that.
Got it.
It works just as fine.
That.
And this is cold, by the way. The chicken that's going in here is cold. You don't want to put hot because it'll start to cook everything as you're actually making it.
Plus, it's easier to cut when it's cold.
Yes.
It won't shred and get all.
It's easier to get off the bone when it's hot, but it's easier to cut when it's nice and cold, so it doesn't get icky. That's right. That's an official cooking term.
Icky, picky, whatever.
Now I'm taking some. I love pecans.
I do too.
I really do. Yeah, and it gives it such a nice flavor. And you want them to be kind of small, but not so that it gets all crumbly. And it's going to give it a little bit of crunch.
So far, my mother's chicken salad recipe, but it's not going to stay that way for very long. But she would have put all this in her chicken salad.
Okay, so far we've got some chicken. We have some nice red grapes in there. We've got some pecan pieces, and this is about 1/2 cup of pecans that we're going to use. Now we're going to take some mayonnaise, and it's just going to be about 1 cup of mayonnaise. Now, and it is amazing, the flavor differences and all the different mayonnaises that are out there. And it's really a preference of what you kind of grew up on and what you really like. Now, to their recipe, I add a little bit of sour cream.
Okay, now we're off the beaten track a little bit here. My mother would never be sour cream. Oh, but that looks so good,
It gives it such a nice flavor, a little bit of depth to it. When you taste it, it's not just mayonnaise that are there.
However, just mayonnaise works for me. I love some good mayonnaise. Love me some mayonnaise.
All right. We're going to put, I put about 1/2 cup of sour cream in there. I'm going to put a couple of teaspoons of salt.
Okay.
And I use a kosher salt myself. I just like the...
You like the coarseness, right?
I really do.
Yeah.
And what's really unique to it, too, is I add some poppy seed to it.
Oh, yeah.
And that gives it some nice flavor. And it's equal parts poppy seed as salt, so about 2 teaspoons of that.
Is this still Jim Gooding's recipe, or have you started adding your own special touches?
I vary just a little bit, but we are so dang close.
We're close, okay.
Yep. And then we put some nice honey in there, too.
Let me ask you a question. Go ahead and do your honey, and while I ask you this, does it matter if you use light mayonnaise or fat-free mayonnaise, or we just go for the right thing?
It does, and it just depends on your tolerance for if you're on a diet and calorie counting or not.
Oh, we're always calorie counting.
If you're in it for the taste, use full mayonnaise.
Okay.
Absolutely. Don't hold back from it.
Okay.
To me, if I'm going to enjoy a recipe, I'm going to make it the full way, and I'll try to eat less.
And I do that with ice cream. People say, "Oh, there's light ice cream or ice cream with not added sugar," and I'm like, "Why bother? Why would you not eat it unless it's the real thing,
just take a couple bites, but enjoy. I mean, if you're going to have a couple bites, make sure it's good.
Exactly. I'm right there with you.
Put a little more.
A little more sour cream looks like. A little bit of this and a little bit of that.
A little bit more mayonnaise. Okay. Now, one important thing, you can eat it right now.
Yes, I could.
I like to take any type of salad like this that we make, I'll cover it with some cellophane, and I'll put it in the refrigerator. And overnight, even for a couple hours, the flavors really come together. So let me put that one away.
That is it? That's all?
That is all.
Okay.
Now, once it sits overnight,
okay,
it's going to come out like this.
That's beautiful.
So let's just taste it first.
Is this my spoon?
This is work over there.
This is just about the right size for me.
Let's see how that is.
All right.
Okay, and then we're going to do some creative things with it.
All right, I'm okay to taste this?
Yes, please.
You sure?
Yes, please.
All right, bon appetit.
Okay,
yes, you taste it too.
All right. Not feeling brave.
It's so good.
And you taste all the flavors? Now, one of my favorite things to do with this, I love a nice sandwich using this chicken salad.
Yes.
I'll get a fresh croissant. I'll take a little bit of nice lettuce here. I'll put a little bit of the
just a little bit of this, a little bit, about 2 big
chicken
spoonfuls.
salad.
John, that looks so good.
And it's so fresh, and it's such a nice spring meal and something to put out. And if you like to, you can put a little piece of tomato on there.
Okay.
And keep it fresh on the top. And if
I
you
think what made this really special is the honey. I've never heard of putting honey in chicken salad. I can taste that sweetness, and I like anything with a sweet taste. So I think that's the secret ingredient.
Okay. So this is wonderful to have. And another way to present it in such a pretty way, we'll put this over the side. We'll taste this in just a little bit.
Okay.
But that is nice
Beautiful.
and pretty. Okay. So we're going to make a pretty salad out of it.
Okay.
So I'll get a big beefsteak tomato, and we'll cut it open. And we'll put it over some lettuce. And just take some of your pretty chicken salad.
Healthy and yummy and beautiful and good for us.
Dab it in the middle, like that.
Now, would you eat that whole tomato, or is that for
I do. When I have this, I love tomatoes.
Okay.
And
all that lettuce? Are you going to eat all that lettuce?
It matters how hungry I am, but I can. Okay.
I think I could totally. Oh, and the onions. This is just not fair. It is just looking so good. Oh, that's beautiful.
Put some.
So it's like a salad. It's a real salad.
It really is a salad. It's very nice. I'll put a couple olives.
Would you do a dressing on it, or would you just leave it like that?
Well, you can put a little bit of Italian or vinaigrette if you want to, but I don't want to put it in the chicken. You want to put it on the lettuce part itself.
Okay.
And that is it.
And the recipe is in your cookbook?
This one is in the cookbook.
Okay.
Absolutely. And it's so simple to make. And you see how it comes out, and it's just so pretty. You like a little taste of the sandwich?
And I would like the whole sandwich. I love the idea, though, of getting a chicken that's already done for you at the grocery store, and then just putting it all together. Thank you so much for doing this for us, John. You know I'm going to be tasting that later. Hi, everybody. We're What's Cooking in the Kitchen with John Rivers from Four Rivers Smokehouse and the Coop. And guess who has a sweet tooth? So I know, I do too. Well, you weren't supposed to say that.
Oh, okay, I take it back.
All right, we both have a sweet tooth. We have to admit it. So, with that in mind, let's talk about what we're making today, John.
This is actually one of my all-time favorite desserts that we developed for the sweet shop.
You made this up?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I come up with the crazy ideas, and then I've got a wonderful head baker, Amanda, and she makes them real.
Okay,
She makes them right. So she took this one a long time ago now. This one I actually made in my house, and I ended up calling it Kryptonite Brownies.
Okay.
And the reason I called it Kryptonite Brownies is because I was trying so hard to stay on a diet while I was making this, and I put it in the refrigerator, and I couldn't stop eating it. It was just absolutely crippling me. And one of the reasons that I like it so much, it has a lot of caramel in it, which is one of my all-time favorite flavors, as well as a fudge brownie. So now this one is a little intense. If you keep stirring that, what we have in here is we're melted butter, and we add a little bit of chocolate, and that's going to serve as our chocolate base. So that's going to get nice and smooth. Now, one trick about making brownies is that when you do it, sometimes they're really hard to get into the pan to actually pull out and cut. So we're going to do a trick. You can either use parchment paper, or you can use aluminum foil, and just put them into your brownie pan, okay? Now this one is a little bit deep, which means it's going to make very deep brownies, which for something like this, because it has all the layers, is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, deep dish pizza, and now we got deep dish brownies. I love it.
There we go.
Love it.
Now what this will do in the end, literally, I'm just going to pick the whole thing up and pull up.
Okay.
So as you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and start mixing our flour and eggs. I always put a little bit of eggs in first, just to get them started. Okay, and we'll put this whole recipe on there, but this is 8 eggs. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of flour to it. Okay, I'm going to put my sugar in first.
So this is not a brownie mix. This is everything is going to be fresh, original ingredients. I know you look at me like, are you kidding, Barbara? You know there's nothing going to be out of a box.
No, heavens no.
I didn't know they had brownies that weren't out of a box, so I'm learning.
Well, you know what? I didn't know until later myself, so if that makes you feel any better.
I do. I feel better.
Okay. Now, one thing about when you start adding the flour to it, you want to put in just a little at a time. You don't want to dump the whole thing in.
And why is that?
You don't want it to clump up on you.
Okay.
You want it to spread nice and evenly. Okay, how's that chocolate doing?
I think we're good.
Okay, now I'm going to do something. I'm going to stop the flour for just a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and let's add that chocolate in.
Okay.
It's nice and chocolatey.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to hide that over here.
All right.
Actually, I'm going to bar it just for a second. Okay, I'm going to add my chocolate in. This is going to make a mess with this. There we go. All right, and get this continuing to mix. Okay.
And the smell already, just cooking that butter and chocolate together makes such a good smell in the kitchen.
Thank you. All right, now I'm going to add the remainder of my flour, nice and slow,
right?
And let it go. And you want to be careful. One thing about, you ever notice sometimes you pick up a cake or a cupcake and it's really dense?
Yes.
And you pick up another one and it's nice and airy and fluffy?
How is that? How does that happen?
That is this step right here.
Okay.
If you overmix and overbeat your batter, you know, it'll activate the enzymes in it that will make it shrink. That it won't allow it to grow when you actually heat it, because it's going to release them too soon.
See, I thought just the opposite. I thought the more you mix something, the fluffier it would get. I make a carrot cake that is so dense, and it's good. It's a really good carrot cake, but it's pretty dense. It's probably because I mix it too much.
Because you've got it nice and mixed.
Never heard that.
Now you see this, it's nice, and you see how fast I stopped it. It doesn't need to mix, you know, just as long as your flavors are nice and incorporated.
Okay.
Now we're going to take this and we're going to pour it into here, okay? And we're going to bake it at, I believe it's 325 for about 30 minutes, okay? Now I only want to pour half of it in, okay, when I do. So when it comes out, the reason being is we're going to add those layers to it, all right? So when it comes out, it's going to look like this.
Right, minus the flour.
Minus the flour, yes.
It's all right, a little more flavor.
Here's where we want to add our middle flavors to it. So we're going to go ahead and take some caramel.
Where do you get the caramel? You didn't make that?
We do.
Oh, you make the caramel too?
We do, but
you're not going to tell me how to do that.
I can. If we're going to go beyond 8 minutes, but I can.
No, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Four Rivers and buy it myself.
Absolutely. Or you know what? I'll be happy to share that recipe. There's so many different ways to do caramel.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to put a layer of caramel. I like to go nice and thick in there. I'm going to go ahead and put some nice pecans so I get some crunch in the middle. Okay. And I'll go ahead and put just a couple of chocolate pieces in so they melt. Now people get very concerned. They say, well, I'm going to bake this a second time once I take the remainder of my batter, which I made earlier, and I'm just going to spoon that over the top, you know, so it covers it.
So this is just a chocolate mixture that you've made ahead of time, you said?
This is actually the batter that we've made.
That is the batter,
yes. Yep.
Okay.
And it's just been sitting for a little bit, so it gets nice and hard like this.
Okay.
And allows you to spread it. So you take it and you spread it nice and even. Okay.
And you are a perfectionist, so I know that bothered you when that little glob.
Yes, it did, actually, very much
I have watched you cook enough years now that I know you're not happy with that. That's okay, though.
Yeah, we would clean that up before it went out.
He's rushing because of the time constraints that we have.
So now I'm going to go ahead and I would bake this a second time.
What about the Heath bar? We don't do that yet?
Okay, that's a great question because I know you like Heath bars so much.
I was hoping you'd forget about the Heath bar so I could eat it by itself.
It's going to bake a second time.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, it's going to come out nice and pretty like this.
Yes.
And what you see is while it's still hot, we're actually going to take some chocolates and put it on there. We're going to go ahead and take some more pecans and your knife. Nice. I'm going to put some extra, matter of fact, Heath bar on the top for you. Okay, now the benefit of wrapping it.
Yes.
I'm going to take this out just like that. Okay. I'm going to lay it down. And the important thing about this, because it's so gooey, you have to allow it to cool.
Yes.
You know, which is the hardest part.
Yes.
Is to wait.
Right. Right.
When you know, but you see the different layers and see how nice and put together that is and even. So we're going to cut into it. I love this one. I love this one. See how gooey it is?
Goodness.
So it's a fudge brownie mix on the bottom.
Oh my goodness.
Caramel in the middle. And another brownie on the top. Oh, look at the layers in that.
Every time John Rivers comes, viewers, I have to diet for about a week, but that's okay. It's worth it. It's well worth it.
Just little bites.
Little bites. Oh, that's a little bite.
We can try them all.
Goodness.
I'm going to have one because this one I can't resist it. Bon appetit.
Bon appetit. Oh my goodness. Oh, that is so good.
I love this one so much.
I wish you could all taste it. It's so delicious. Of course, if they can't taste, you can get the recipe off our website or on Facebook. We'll have that there for you. And enjoy with us. Oh, thank you, John Rivers, for being here with us today.
Thank you.
hope you enjoyed our program today. It's always such a joy to have John Rivers here with us, as he's such a great guy with a huge heart for the Lord. He has spent so much time with us here in Welcome Home doing those cooking segments, and we love it. It's no easy task bringing all those ingredients and cooking for us, but we all love it. Staff, camera guys, everyone. We actually can't wait for the segments to be over so that we can dive into that great cooking of John's. Well, let's close out our show today with a note of hope that really has nothing to do with cooking, but hopefully will be an encouragement to you today. Have you ever noticed how we use the word hope so much here at Good Life 45? We like to say we're where hope happens. And here's the reason why. Our heart is to share Christ in compelling ways with you, especially through stories where God is honored and His presence so evident in the lives of those whose journeys that we tell, just like John Rivers. I love the verse in Hebrews 6:19, which says, "This hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast." I know that's what I want in my life: security, steadfastness, peace, and hope like an anchor. Well, the good news is it's available to each one of us. We just need to firmly grab hold of all Christ has to offer us, moment by moment. Hope becomes a part of our being, a nice little byproduct of faithfully following the Lord. Well, thanks so much for your faithfulness in watching Welcome Home and all of our programming here on Good Life 45. We love you, and we pray God's continued lordship and presence in your lives. God bless you all.